All right, we're going to leave the State Capture Commission for a bit. We've got some breaking news now. We're heading over to Chriselda Lewis, and she was reporting earlier that Adam Catzavelos has reached a 150,000 Rand settlement agreement with the Human Rights Commission payable over 30 months. So that is 5,000 Rand a month. Adam, we're told, is going to issue an apology. Chriselda Lewis has the latest. Chriselda, tell us more.
Well, that's right, Blaine. We've just heard from the Human Rights Commission officially that Adam Catzavelos has reached a 150,000 settlement agreement with the Human Rights Commission. Of course, that's payable, as you've pointed out, over 30 months. So that's 5,000 Rand a month. Remember, the initial agreement that had been put on the table, proposed settlement agreement by the Human Rights Commission, is 200,000 Rand. Remember, when I spoke to you earlier, I had indicated that there had been some talks between the Human Rights Commission and Adam Catzavelos' lawyer, Mr. Lawley Shane, during the course of this week and last week. So it seems now that that settlement agreement has now come down from the 200,000 that was proposed by the Human Rights Commission to 150,000 payable over that 30 months, 5,000 Rand a month. And I also understand we've been given a letter here as well. It seems that Adam Catzavelos in the next few moments inside this court will make a public apology. And just to read it very briefly, I'll just browse through it because obviously he would need to make that apology himself here inside this court. But just to browse through it there, Blaine, Adam Catzavelos basically acknowledging and admitting that on the 12th day of August 2018, he took that video of himself while on holiday in Greece. And he says, when I watch the video, not by choice, I may add, but because in certain circumstances I have to, for example, with my lawyers, I am truly disgusted. That is what Adam Catzavelos is expected to say inside this court in the next few moments. He also says disgusted, horrified and ashamed by my behavior. That's what Adam Catzavelos is expected to say when he walks into this court in the next few moments. He says, I now more than ever, in the course of having to confront and take responsibility for my actions, which has forced me to consider deeply issues such as dignity and humanity. I'm acutely aware of how profoundly dehumanizing and hurtful it must be for black South Africans to be referred to by the K word. But that's essentially what this apology letter will be. And it's expected that Mr. Catzavelos, so we've heard from the Human Rights Commission, he will come inside this court. They will make that figure official. But we've already been told by the Human Rights Commission they've now settled on 150,000 over that 30 months, 5,000 Rand a month, which he will pay. That will then be made official inside this court. The Human Rights Commission says we can go with that figure, so it is official. So just to be rubber stamped inside this court, and then this apology is what he is expected to read out in this court. Let me see if I can find something else here. He says, I have to look at myself from many different angles inside and out, and can assure you that I have grown as a person, and never again will I be so insensitive as to not take other people's feelings into account. Just one more there, Blaine. He says, I've already mentioned the self-loathing and shame I have felt as a result of my actions in the course of going through the process, both in relation to the criminal prosecution and the proceedings in the Equality Court. And in preparing this apology statement, I have become aware of the extent to which I, as the perpetrator, have damaged my own dignity and humanity. And he says he's hopeful that in making this acknowledgement and apology, he will be forgiven and he'll be able to restore his identity as a person and his pride, so that he says, I am able to restore my confidence and participate in all aspects of life in South Africa, including in building of social cohesion. So a lengthy apology that we're expecting Adam Catzavelos to give here inside this court. This is not the first time, of course, that he's apologizing. You'd recall during one of the sittings here at the court, he just did apologize, but not to the extent to which we are seeing this document here today. So in addition to, of course, the settlement agreement there, Blaine, which has been reached of 150,000, remember, the other case that sat just earlier on this morning, in that particular, the criminal matter relating to criminal injuria, is that he has failed in his bid not to be prosecuted on criminal injuria. Remember, in early August, he had written to the Gauteng Director of Public Prosecutions, where he basically stated his case on why he felt he should not be prosecuted. That bid has failed, and now he's taking that decision of the Gauteng Director of Public Prosecutions on review and has written to the National Director of Public Prosecutions, Shamila Batoyi. That case has been postponed to the 2nd of October. So while this particular case may be over in just the next few moments relating to the Human Rights Commission over the settlement agreement that has been reached of 150,000, he still has to continue on the case relating to the criminal matter of criminal injuria and, of course, the case relating to answering to hate speech charges in Greece, where he took that video that went viral.
Some important language, you would say, is being used, saying he's truly disgusted, he's horrified and ashamed of his behavior. We now know that 150,000 rand settlement has been agreed to. But Chriselda, just tell us about Adam and how his life has changed since this video got out.
You know, Blaine, I've been very fortunate to speak to him over quite a number of times, but of course off camera. He does converse with the media on a number of occasions, and several times when you see him sitting outside the court waiting for his case to be called, he would often sit with his face in his hands. And if I would ask him how he's feeling, once I recall he did say to me that his life has changed completely and how he wants all of this to be over. He has said to me before that he is very apologetic over what has happened. I don't think he had, in the greatest, or in any event, even thought that this video would have leaked where he was taking it while on holiday in Greece. But his life, without a doubt, has changed quite spectacularly, because obviously you'd recall shortly after that video had gone viral, I recall there's one of the restaurants in Braamfontein, which is owned by his family, they had to do a complete brand change. The name of that restaurant had to be changed completely, and other businesses associated with his family had come under attack. So it talks about the extent to which his family and him, he would say have suffered since this video has gone viral. But of course, on the other hand, while he issues this apology, remember the other side that is very aggrieved. I mean, more than 20 years into democracy in this country, certainly the argument that the EFF, for example, which has also brought this matter to court, is saying is that it should not be allowed in modern day South Africa to have someone who is still going to speak or call people using derogatory terms. So this apology by Mr. Adam Catzavelos, let's see if it goes a long way in it. I'm expecting there would be quite a lot of criticism pertaining to the amount of money that the Human Rights Commission has accepted. Remember, in the issue relating to the former Bosasa COO, Angelo Agrizi, in that particular matter, where he admitted also to using derogatory terms, he paid 200,000 rand. So others will ask the question, is that the price that one pays for using derogatory terms towards another race group in South Africa, which we could say, so many years into democracy, is very easy to flare the kind of violence that we have seen, where racial intolerance is still something that is still quite rife in South Africa. So I'm expecting, a lot of backlash, if I could use that word, pertaining to the 150,000. There'll be a lot of comparisons made to that pertaining to how much Mr. Angelo Agrizi himself had to pay. So certainly that's not a judgment that you and I can make, but that's what we can confirm at this stage.
Yeah, important point there, Chriselda. Just tell us, do you have any indication as to what time the court proceedings will start?
Well, Blaine, any minute now. In fact, just before I came to air with you, I just walked around the court and they were putting the final signatures to the settlement agreement. So in the next few moments, we're expecting that to take place. They're expected to walk inside this court in the next few moments. And you can see where some of our colleagues have been setting up those microphones there. That's where Mr. Adam Catzavelos is expected to make that apology inside this court, the apology that I just read out to you. And that then would mean the end of the matter pertaining to the Human Rights Commission. But like I said, Blaine, the woes continue for him, of course. The criminal matter is back inside this particular court, the Randburg Magistrate's Court, on the 2nd of October. And of course, in the next few days, we should know there should be a date that will be set on when he will go to Greece to answer to hate speech related charges in that particular country. So the media are setting up here. We're hoping, Blaine, to have that live for you in the next few moments here on SABC News. So we'd urge our viewers to stay with us here on the channel.
Yeah, Chriselda, we are monitoring your feed and we will come back to you as soon as Adam takes to the stand.